How to Level Up Your Brain and Become Dangerously Smart. Written and published by Stoic Ranger. We've all heard the saying, knowledge is power. But what if you could take that power to a whole new level where your mind becomes a weapon sharper than any sword? Imagine waking up each morning with laser focus, recalling facts with ease, and solving complex problems as if they were simple puzzles. In this video, you're going to discover how to level up your brain and become dangerously smart. I'm going to walk you through 7 powerful chapters, each one packed with actionable strategies to sharpen your focus, supercharge your memory, optimize your brain chemistry, and leverage neuroplasticity. You'll learn how to create distraction-free zones that turn your workspace into a mental dojo, adopt learning plans so precise they carve new neural pathways in days, and fuel your brain with foods and routines that unlock hidden reserves of cognitive stamina. No fluff, no vague promises, just proven tactics you can start using today. By the end of this script, you'll have a clear roadmap to transform your mental capacity and operate at an entirely different level. If you're ready to leave mediocrity behind, crush self-doubt, and cultivate a mind that can adapt, innovate, and outperform, let's dive in. Chapter 1. Master Your Focus. The Gateway to Cognitive Power. Your ability to focus is the foundation of intelligence. Without sustained attention, information slips through your fingers like sand. The first step to becoming dangerously smart is learning how to direct all of your mental energy toward a single task, no distractions allowed. To begin, you need to understand when your brain is at its sharpest. For 1 week, keep a simple log. Note down in 15-minute intervals how alert and engaged you feel. You might discover that your mind is most clear and energized early in the morning, or perhaps you're a night owl whose creativity peaks after dark. Once you have this data, block off those high-energy windows on your calendar and reserve them exclusively for deep work, whether that means reading a dense academic paper, practicing a complex instrument, or solving a challenging puzzle. But having a time slot isn't enough. You must also create an environment that actively supports intense focus. Start by eliminating obvious distractions. Mute or turn off your phone, close any browser tabs not directly related to your task, and place a simple Do Not Disturb sign where you can see it. If external noise is unavoidable, say, you live in a bustling household or work in an open office, invest in noise-cancelling headphones or use a white noise app to mask background sounds. Even small noises, like the hum of conversation or distant traffic, can nudge your attention away. By taking these concrete steps, you're telling your brain, we are in focus mode now. Once your environment is distraction-free, adopt a time management technique designed to harness short bursts of intense concentration. The Pomodoro technique is one of the most effective methods. Work with unbroken focus for 25 minutes, then take a precise 5-minute break. During these 25 minutes, silence all notifications, no email pings, no social media alerts, no instant messages. Set a timer and commit to giving that block of time your undivided attention. When the timer rings, stand up, stretch, walk around, or grab a glass of water. Use that short break to let your mind rest. Thinking about something entirely different helps reset your cognitive resources. After 4 Pomodoro cycles, reward yourself with a longer break, perhaps 15 to 20 minutes, to recharge more fully. Of course, even with the Pomodoro technique in place, you'll face internal distractions, those moments when your mind wanders or you feel the itch to check your phone. Here's where a simple mental cue can help. Whenever you catch yourself drifting, pause and silently repeat to yourself, "Focus now." It sounds almost too easy, but this deliberate internal prompt interrupts the wandering thought and brings your attention back to the present task. Over days and weeks of consistent practice, you'll train your brain to resist the urge to flit from one idea to another, building mental stamina that allows you to dive into deeper, more complex material without losing your train of thought. Another powerful tactic is creating a small, repeatable ritual that signals to your brain, "From here on, we concentrate." This could be as simple as brewing a specific type of tisane, a strong matcha, or a rich black tea, and pouring it into your favorite mug. The aroma and taste become linked with focused effort. Alternatively, you might light a small candle or play the same instrumental track every time you need to concentrate. Within a few days, your brain will start associating these sensory cues with a state of heightened focus, making it easier to slip into work mode without hesitation. Beyond environmental and behavioral tweaks, it's important to understand why focus matters so much for cognitive performance. When you concentrate deeply on a single task, your brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for complex reasoning and decision-making, activates fully. This deep engagement encourages the release of neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine, which not only improve mood and motivation, but also enhance short-term memory. In practical terms, that means when you read a difficult textbook or work through a tricky math problem in a state of uninterrupted focus, you're far more likely to encode that information into long-term memory and retrieve it later, rather than forgetting critical details. Finally, be patient with yourself. Building the muscle of focus doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that may feel uncomfortable initially. At first, you might notice your mind darting from thought to thought, or you may find yourself staring at a blank screen wondering what you were just about to do. This is normal. Each time you recognize that distraction, gently guide your attention back without judgment. Over weeks of consistent practice, by tracking your productivity, honoring your high-energy periods, eliminating distractions, using Pomodoro sprints, employing mental cues, and establishing a focus ritual, you'll begin to notice a shift. Tasks that once felt overwhelming become manageable, details you once missed start to stick, and creative problem-solving emerges more effortlessly. By mastering this deep focus, you'll absorb more information in less time, recall details with precision, and tackle complex challenges with confidence, laying the groundwork for everything that follows in your journey to become dangerously smart. Chapter 2. Train your mind with structured learning. Becoming dangerously smart isn't about cramming random facts. It's about building a systematic approach to learning that rewires your brain for continuous growth. To train your mind effectively, you must move from passive information consumption like scrolling through social media or watching random videos to an intentional, step-by-step learning plan that guides your progress. Let's break down how to create a structured learning routine that is both manageable and profoundly impactful. First, choose a clear domain or skill set you want to master. This could be anything from learning a new language to understanding advanced mathematics, from studying philosophy to mastering computer programming. The key is to narrow your focus. Instead of trying to learn everything, pick one subject area at a time. Why does this matter? Because the brain forms stronger connections when it concentrates on a specific set of related concepts. If you scatter your attention across too many unrelated topics, you'll overload your working memory and reduce retention. By selecting a well-defined field, let's say, for example, you want to learn Spanish, you give yourself a clear endpoint and a roadmap to follow. Once you have your topic, deconstruct it into smaller, logical modules. In our Spanish example, that might involve dividing the language into vocabulary categories: basic greetings, common verbs, essential nouns, grammar rules, present tense conjugation, sentence structure, pronouns, listening comprehension, audio clips, simple dialogues, and speaking practice, pronunciation drills, conversational practice. For a subject like programming, you might break it into syntax basics, data structures, algorithms, debugging techniques, and project-based work. Write down each module on a separate line. These modules will become milestones in your learning journey, preventing you from feeling overwhelmed and giving you a sense of clear progression. Next, assign a realistic timeline to each module. Ask yourself, how long will it take me to gain a solid understanding of this piece before moving on? If you're a complete beginner in Spanish, mastering basic greetings and essential vocabulary might take a week of focused study. Conversely, if you already know some grammar but struggle with verb conjugations, you might spend 2 or 3 days drilling conjugation patterns until they become second nature. Be honest with yourself about how much time you can dedicate each day. Aim for at least 30 to 60 minutes of focused study if you can manage it. By assigning time estimates, you create accountability. When Sunday comes and you've only covered half of what you planned, you'll see that gap and know exactly how to adjust. With your modules and timelines in place, develop a daily learning routine centered on active engagement. Passive reading or watching tutorials may feel comfortable, but it doesn't force your brain to work. Instead, use active recall techniques. After reading a chapter or watching a lesson, close your book or pause the video and write down everything you remember: keywords, key concepts, examples. This process makes your brain struggle to retrieve information, strengthening memory consolidation. If you're learning Spanish vocabulary, test yourself by covering the word list and writing as many words as you can recall, then check your answers. If you miss some, review them and repeat the process until you can recall them all. This simple act of self-testing is far more potent than passively rereading material. Another powerful tool is spaced repetition. Human memory tends to forget information over time, but if you revisit facts at strategic intervals immediately after learning, then a day later, 3 days later, a week later, and so on, you can dramatically boost retention. Use a spaced repetition software, SRS, like Anki, or a similar flashcard app to automate this scheduling. Each time you answer a card correctly, the interval before you see it again increases. If you get it wrong, the interval resets. Over weeks, this system ensures that you review the most challenging items more frequently and the easier ones less often. In our Spanish example, you might input new vocabulary flashcards daily and let the algorithm schedule review sessions. Before long, words you once struggled with become as familiar as your native language. Don't neglect the importance of chunking, grouping related pieces of information into larger, meaningful wholes. For example, instead of memorizing yo hablo, tú hablas, ella habla as isolated forms, recognize them as patterns of conjugation. Remove the infinitive ending a and add the personal pronoun endings o, as, a. When you see the pattern, your brain only needs to remember one rule instead of multiple individual endings. This reduces cognitive load and makes it easier to apply the principle to new verbs. Chunking can also apply to concepts. If you're learning about microeconomics, group supply, and demand elasticity, price ceilings, and price floors under the umbrella of market interventions, by packaging related ideas into single packages, you free up mental space to assimilate deeper connections between them. Teaching is another essential component of structured learning. When you explain a concept to someone else, whether it's a friend, family member, or an imaginary student, you force your brain to translate your understanding into clear language. This process often exposes gaps or misunderstandings you didn't realize you had. Suppose you've just covered how conditional tenses work in Spanish. Try teaching those rules to a friend. Explain why, si yo tuviera dinero, viajaría. If I had money, I would travel. Uses the imperfect subjunctive tuviera and the conditional viajaría. As you talk through each step, you'll notice any uncertainties in your own mind, which you can then revisit and clarify. Teaching not only reinforces your existing knowledge, but also highlights areas needing further attention. In addition to these techniques, incorporate varied learning modalities to keep your mind engaged. Don't rely solely on textbooks. Mix in audio lessons, language exchange meetups, and cooking a Spanish recipe while following instructions in Spanish. If you're studying coding, read documentation, watch screencast tutorials, write code by hand on paper, and join coding challenges on websites like HackerRank or LeetCode. When you encounter a problem you can't solve immediately, resist the urge to look up the answer right away. Instead, jot down what you know, hypothesize possible solutions, and attempt to work through logic gaps on your own. This struggle fosters deeper mental engagement and builds problem-solving resilience. Finally, build in regular reflection sessions. At the end of each week, spend 10 minutes reviewing what you've covered. Ask yourself, which modules did I master? Which concepts are still shaky? Where did I waste time, and how can I adjust next week's plan? Record your answers in a simple journal or digital document. This habit of reflection helps you fine-tune your learning strategy over time, ensuring you stay on track and don't spend weeks flailing. By being brutally honest in these reflections, acknowledging distractions you couldn't resist or topics you didn't understand, you set up the feedback loop that makes structured learning genuinely effective. By following this highly organized approach, selecting a clear subject, deconstructing it into modules, scheduling focused time blocks, using active recall and spaced repetition, chunking information, teaching others, working across multiple modalities, and reflecting weekly, you transform chaotic study sessions into a disciplined mind-training regimen. Over weeks and months, your brain adapts to this structure. Neural pathways strengthen around the skills you practice. Your ability to learn new topics accelerates, and you develop the mental confidence to tackle increasingly complex challenges. This structured learning foundation is essential. It turns raw curiosity into tangible expertise, enabling you to become dangerously smart. Chapter 3. Optimize your brain chemistry. Fuel for genius. Your brain is a high-performance engine, and just like any top-tier machine, it needs the right fuel, proper maintenance, and regular care to run at its peak. When you optimize your brain chemistry, you create an internal environment where neurons fire more efficiently, memory formation accelerates, and creativity flows freely. This chapter will guide you through practical, science-backed steps covering nutrition, hydration, sleep, stress management, exercise, and sensible supplementation to help you unleash the full potential of your mind. Begin with nutrition. The foods you eat are broken down into nutrients that directly impact neurotransmitter production, energy metabolism, and the structural integrity of brain cells. First, focus on healthy fats. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, as well as in flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts support the structure of neuronal cell membranes and promote synaptic plasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections. Aim to include at least 2 servings of fatty fish per week, or if you prefer plant-based sources, add a tablespoon of ground flax seeds or a small handful of walnuts to your morning oatmeal. These fats not only improve memory and mood, but also reduce inflammation in the brain, helping to protect against age-related decline. Next, incorporate antioxidant-rich foods. Oxidative stress and imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants damages cellular structures, including neurons. Combat this by eating a rainbow of fruits and vegetables. Blueberries, strawberries, spinach, kale, and bell peppers all contain high levels of vitamins C and E, carotenoids, and flavonoids. For example, a half cup of blueberries delivers more antioxidants per calorie than most other foods. Aim for at least 3 servings of colorful produce daily. Snack ideas could include a handful of blueberries with Greek yogurt or a spinach and bell pepper omelette at breakfast. These antioxidants help neutralize harmful free radicals, support blood flow to the brain, and enhance communication between neural networks. Protein is equally important, as amino acids are the building blocks for neurotransmitters. Tryptophan, found in turkey, eggs, and pumpkin seeds, is converted into serotonin, a chemical that regulates mood, sleep, and appetite. Tyrosine, abundant in lean meats, dairy, and legumes, is a precursor for dopamine and norepinephrine neurochemicals associated with motivation, attention, and reward. To balance your neurotransmitter production, include a source of high-quality protein in every meal. Breakfast might be scrambled eggs with spinach and a side of turkey bacon. Lunch could be a grilled chicken salad with mixed greens, chickpeas, and olive oil. Dinner might be baked salmon with quinoa and steamed broccoli. By consistently supplying your body with essential amino acids, you ensure that your brain has the raw materials it needs to produce the chemicals that drive focus, happiness, and mental energy. Hydration is often overlooked, yet even mild dehydration, losing as little as 1–2% of body weight in water, can impair cognitive performance, reduce alertness, and increase fatigue. Aim for at least 2.5 to 3 liters of water per day, adjusting upward if you exercise heavily or live in a hot climate. A simple rule of thumb is to drink a glass of water first thing in the morning, then another glass before each meal, and carry a reusable water bottle throughout the day as a reminder. If plain water feels monotonous, add slices of lemon, cucumber, or a few fresh mint leaves for flavor without added sugar. Proper hydration supports blood volume, ensuring that oxygen and nutrients reach your brain efficiently, while also helping to flush out metabolic waste products that could interfere with neuronal function. Now, let's turn to sleep, arguably the single most important factor for optimizing brain chemistry. During deep, slow-wave sleep, your brain consolidates memories, processes emotions, and clears away excess proteins and toxins that accumulate throughout the day. Aim for 7–9 hours of quality sleep each night. To achieve this, establish a consistent sleep schedule. Go to bed and wake up at the same times every day, even on weekends. Create a pre-sleep ritual to signal to your brain that it's time to wind down. Dim the lights, avoid screens, phones, tablets, and computers. At least 1 hour before bed, and engage in a calming activity. Read a physical book, practice gentle stretching, or do 5 minutes of mindful breathing. If you struggle to fall asleep, consider a magnesium supplement, 200–300 milligrams of magnesium glycinate, about 30 minutes before bed, which can help relax your muscles and nerves. Always check with a healthcare professional before starting any new supplement. In addition to timing and ritual, optimize your sleep environment. Keep your bedroom cool, around 65 degrees Fs, 18 degrees Fs, dark, consider blackout curtains or a sleep mask, and quiet, use earplugs or a white noise machine if necessary. If ambient light or noise disrupts your sleep, a simple solution is to use a fan set on low for consistent white noise and airflow. Over time, these small changes strengthen your circadian rhythm, making it easier to fall asleep quickly and stay in deep sleep longer, which translates directly into clearer thinking, better memory recall, and improved emotional regulation. Chronic stress is the enemy of optimal brain chemistry. When your body perceives a threat real or imagine it releases cortisol, a stress hormone that, in short bursts, is useful for survival. However, Prolonged elevated cortisol levels can shrink the hippocampus, the memory center of the brain, and disrupt the balance of other neurotransmitters, leading to impaired learning and mood disturbances. To manage stress effectively, incorporate daily practices that calm your nervous system. Even 5 minutes of deep, diaphragmatic breathing, placing one hand on your chest, the other on your belly, and inhaling deeply through your nose while allowing your diaphragm to expand activates the parasympathetic rest and digest response. Try a simple pattern. Inhale for a count of 4, hold for 2, exhale for a count of 6, and repeat. If you prefer movement-based techniques, a 10-minute walk outside, focusing on observing your surroundings, the feel of the breeze, sounds of birds, colors of the sky, can ground you in the present moment and lower stress levels. Cultivating a regular meditation or mindfulness, practice using apps or guided recordings, if you're new to seated meditation, also helps reduce cortisol and balance neurotransmitters related to attention and emotional regulation. Exercise, beyond stress reduction, directly influences brain chemistry by increasing levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, a protein that promotes the growth and survival of neurons. You don't need to train for a marathon. Even moderate, intensity activities like brisk walking, cycling, or bodyweight circuits for 20-30 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week, significantly boost BDNF. That surge in BDNF supports learning, memory formation, and mood stabilization. If possible, schedule your workouts during your peak energy periods identified in Chapter 1. By aligning physical activity with those high-alert windows, you tap into the natural synergy between movement and mental clarity, coming back from exercise sessions with heightened focus and creative insight. Finally, consider sensible supplementation to fill any nutritional gaps, but approach this step cautiously and judiciously. If you eat a varied diet, you may not need many extras. However, certain nutrients are notoriously hard to obtain in sufficient amounts from food alone. For example, vitamin D essential for mood regulation and cognitive functioning produced in your skin when you're exposed to sunlight. But if you live in a region with long winters or spend most of your days indoors, you may benefit from a supplement 1,020 IU per day, depending on blood levels. Similarly, if you struggle to get enough omega-3s from diet alone, a high-quality fish oil supplement providing a combined 10 mg of EPA and DHA can ensure your brain has the building blocks it needs for robust synaptic health. Always choose third-party tested supplements to avoid contaminants and check with a healthcare provider before adding anything new, especially if you have existing health conditions or take medications. By focusing on what you put into your body, nutrient-dense foods, ample water, restorative sleep, stress-busting techniques, regular exercise, and carefully chosen supplements, you create a chemical landscape in your brain that supports sustained attention, rapid learning, and stable mood. This optimized internal environment not only enhances your short-term performance, helping you think more clearly during that next big project or intense study session, but also builds resilience for long-term cognitive health. When neurons have the nutrients they need, when toxins are cleared effectively during sleep, and when stress hormones stay in check, your brain operates as the high-powered engine it was designed to be. With your internal chemistry finely tuned, you're one step closer to becoming dangerously smartable to absorb knowledge faster, recall details more accurately, and innovate with confidence. Chapter 4. Leverage neuroplasticity. Rewire your brain for excellence. Your brain is not fixed. It is not stuck at the level you were born with. You are not doomed to be average or stay the same year after year. Why? Because of a scientific phenomenon called neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to change its structure, function, and wiring based on how you use it. Neuroplasticity is the reason people can recover from strokes, learn new languages at 70, or master complex skills they once thought were out of reach. But most people never take advantage of it consciously. In this chapter, you'll learn how to rewire your brain intentionally, upgrade your thinking patterns, and become dangerously smart by training your brain like a muscle, because that's exactly what it is. At the heart of neuroplasticity is a simple rule. What you repeat, you become. Every time you think a thought, solve a problem, or perform an action, you activate a network of neurons. The more you repeat it, the stronger that network becomes. It's like carving a groove into the surface of your mind. At first, it's shallow and fragile. But do it over and over, and it becomes the default pathway your brain follows. This is how habits are formed, both good and bad. This is also how intelligence is developed through repeated, focused, and challenging mental activity. The key is this: if you want to get smarter, you must stretch your brain beyond what's comfortable. You can't just review what you already know, you have to dive into complexity. Struggle, get confused. That confusion is not a sign that you're failing, it's the sign that your brain is working to form new connections. If it's easy, you're not growing. So seek out tasks that challenge your current abilities. Read books that force you to slow down and think. Learn subjects where you're a complete beginner. Practice problems that make you frustrated. This is the brain's gym. Just like lifting heavier weights builds stronger muscles, engaging with harder material builds stronger neural pathways. To do this effectively, embrace deliberate practice. That means choosing something you're not good at and breaking it into small, trainable parts. Let's say you want to improve your logical reasoning. Don't just read about logic. Practice solving logic puzzles. Time yourself. Review your mistakes. Understand why you were wrong. Then try again. This method of pushing yourself just beyond your comfort zone is where the magic of neuroplasticity happens. It's called the zone of proximal development, the space between what you can already do and what you're on the edge of learning. Stay in that zone, and your brain is forced to evolve. Another powerful strategy is interleaving switching between different but related topics during a single study session. For example, if you're learning languages, don't just spend the whole hour memorizing vocabulary. Instead, do 15 minutes of vocab, then 15 minutes of grammar, then 15 minutes listening to native speakers, then 15 minutes writing short paragraphs using what you learned. This constant switching forces your brain to stay alert and flexible. It improves your ability to recall and apply knowledge in real-world situations. Interleaving is hard at first, but that difficulty is exactly why it works. The brain grows stronger through mental resistance. You should also embrace desirable difficulty. That means learning under slightly challenging conditions that feel uncomfortable but lead to stronger memory and understanding. For example, studying in silence might feel easier, but studies show that adding a little noise or changing your study environment actually strengthens retention. Writing from memory instead of rereading your notes is harder, but it cements learning. Struggling to explain something before you're fully sure you understand it can feel awkward, but it forces your brain to organize and clarify your thoughts. So don't avoid difficulty, seek it, and know it's making you sharper. And here's a secret most people overlook. Your thoughts literally change your brain. Every time you think, you fire electrical signals across synapses. Over time, the brain physically adapts to make that thought easier to repeat. If you constantly think, "I'm not smart enough," "I always forget," or "this is too hard," you're wiring in helplessness and mediocrity. But if you consistently think, "I can figure this out," "I'm getting better each day," or I love the challenge. You're creating a brain that expects growth, looks for solutions, and pushes through barriers. This isn't just motivational fluff, it's neuroscience. The way you talk to yourself literally becomes the mental software your brain runs on. To accelerate your brain's growth, combine mental training with physical care. Exercise increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNFA protein, that acts like fertilizer for your neurons. When you move your body, you feed your mind. Even 20 minutes of brisk walking per day can enhance neuroplasticity and make your brain more adaptable. Sleep is another critical factor. During sleep, especially deep sleep, your brain consolidates new learning and clears out waste products that build up during the day. Think of sleep as your brain's nightly upgrade cycle. If you skip it, you block new wiring from forming properly. Meditation is also a powerful enhancer of neuroplasticity. A few minutes of focused breathing each day improves the brain's ability to focus, regulate emotions, and resist distractions. Studies show that even short-term meditation can increase the density of gray matter in areas related to learning and memory. By cultivating mindfulness, you strengthen the mental muscle that notices when your mind drifts and pulls it back to the present. That's not just a calming habit, it's a cognitive weapon. Another advanced method: visualization. Elite athletes use this. World-class musicians use it. Why? Because imagining a skill activates many of the same brain areas as actually performing it. Visualize yourself solving a math problem. Visualize speaking fluently in a new language. Visualize remaining calm and focused under pressure. This primes your brain for success and accelerates the wiring of new skill 7 when you're not physically practicing. And don't underestimate the power of novelty. Your brain loves what's new. Travel to a new place. Try a new hobby. Listen to a different genre of music. Take a different route to work. Each novel experience forces your brain to adapt, creating fresh neural connections and making you mentally more agile. The more you stretch yourself into unfamiliar territory, the more plastic your brain becomes, and the faster it learns. Finally, remember this: neuroplasticity is neutral. It will work for you or against you. If you spend your days mindlessly scrolling, procrastinating, and reinforcing self-doubt, your brain will wire itself for distraction and weakness. But if you commit to deliberate, challenging, meaningful learning, your brain will become stronger, faster, and smarter. It's not about talent, it's about use. The more you train your brain with intention, the more dangerous your intelligence becomes. So from now on, treat your brain like the most powerful tool you own, because it is. Feed it challenge, feed it focus, feed it curiosity. And never forget, your current mental limits are not permanent, they're just your starting point. Through the power of neuroplasticity, you can rebuild yourself into a person who doesn't just think smarter but lives smarter. Chapter 5. Remove mental clutter. Cultivate mental minimalism. A brilliant mind buried under chaos is like a diamond trapped in mud. It still has value, but its clarity, power, and shine remain hidden. If you truly want to level up your brain and become dangerously smart, you must clear away the mental noise that's clouding your focus, draining your energy, and fragmenting your thoughts. This chapter is about mastering the art of mental minimalism, removing the unnecessary to make space for the extraordinary. We live in a world designed to steal your attention. Notifications, emails, endless tabs, constant scrolling. These distractions don't just waste time, they fracture your focus into microscopic pieces. Every time you switch tasks, your brain pays a cost. It has to pause, recalibrate, and redirect attention, which consumes precious cognitive resources. This phenomenon is called attention residue. mental leftover that lingers when you switch from one task to another. Even if you return to your original task, part of your brain remains stuck in the previous one. Over time, this leads to mental fatigue, poor memory, reduced creativity, and chronic stress. The solution isn't just time management, it's attention management. And the first step is to declutter your inner world just like you would clean a messy room. Start with a simple, powerful practice, the daily brain dump. Every evening or first thing in the morning, take out a notebook and write down every thought, idea, worry, and to-do item that's floating in your head. Don't censor, don't organize. Just release it all. What you're doing is giving your brain permission to let go. When you externalize your thoughts, you reduce the mental load your brain has to carry. This frees up cognitive bandwidth for higher-level thinking and decision-making. Once you've dumped the clutter, the next step is prioritization. Ask yourself, which of these thoughts actually matter? You'll find that many of your worries are either outside your control, not urgent, or completely irrelevant to your bigger goals. Cross those out or place them in a later section. Highlight only the top 1-3 tasks or thoughts that truly deserve your attention that day. This minimalist filtering process helps train your brain to focus only on what's essential and ignore the noise. Now, turn your attention to your digital environment. Every app, open tab, and notification is a cognitive hook pulling at your mental energy. It's time to declutter your devices. Start by turning off non-essential notifications. Do you really need to be alerted every time someone likes your photo or sends a meme? Then, organize your desktop and phone screen. Keep only the apps you use daily on your home screen and hide the rest in folders. Consider using tools like website blockers, such as Cold Turkey or Freedom, to lock yourself out of distracting websites during your focus periods. Better yet, set up focus modes on your phone. Create custom settings for deep work, reading, sleep, and relaxation. These small digital boundaries reduce decision fatigue and protect your mental clarity. Next, curate your information diet. Your brain becomes what you consume. If your day is filled with shallow content, clickbait headlines, endless scrolling, and hot takes, your thinking becomes reactive, scattered, and surface level. Instead, choose quality over quantity. Pick 1 or 2 newsletters or podcasts that truly challenge your mind. Subscribe to a single YouTube channel that teaches you something meaningful. Follow thinkers, not influencers. Limit your news intake to once or twice a day and avoid checking headlines first thing in the morning or right before bed. These are the moments when your subconscious mind is most absorbent. Protect them fiercely. A powerful mental minimalism technique is to build sacred spaces in your day pockets of time where no input is allowed. No phone, no music, no conversation, just silence, stillness, and presence. Start with 10-15 minutes per day. Sit in a quiet room, take a walk without headphones, or simply stare out the window and breathe. You may feel bored or restless at first, that's normal. We're so used to stimulation that silence feels unnatural, but stay with it. In that quiet, your mind will begin to settle. Ideas will emerge. Patterns will reveal themselves. This stillness creates space for clarity, insight, and original thinking. Another often overlooked source of mental clutter is emotional baggage, resentments, regrets, fears, and stories from the past that replay in your head like broken records. These aren't just psychological issues, they're cognitive drains. Every time you dwell on an old argument or imagine worst-case scenarios, you hijack the brain's executive functions, the very part responsible for logic, decision-making, and creativity. To release these loops, start a journaling practice where you process unresolved emotions. Write letters you never send. Acknowledge feelings you've ignored. Forgive people who aren't even sorry, not for their sake, but for your freedom. The more emotional clutter you release, the more space you create for sharp thinking and inner peace. Don't stop with emotions. Your environment also affects your mind. A cluttered desk equals a cluttered mind. Keep your workspace clean and simple. One notebook, one pen, one task. Create visual cues for focus: a candle you only light when working, a specific seat you only use for reading, or a pair of glasses you wear only when writing. These tiny rituals help your brain enter deep work mode more easily and reduce mental resistance. Similarly, create off spaces, areas in your home where no work is allowed. This separation between work and rest trains your brain to shift gears properly, so you're not mentally on all the time. Mental minimalism also means learning to say no to people, projects, and conversations that drain your energy. Just because something is urgent doesn't mean it's important. And just because someone demands your attention doesn't mean they deserve it. Every yes is a no to something else, often your peace, your growth, or your deep work. So before you agree to anything, ask yourself, does this align with the kind of mind I'm trying to build? If it doesn't, respectfully decline. The smartest people in the world are not those who say yes to everything. They're those who guard their attention like it's sacred, because it is. Another powerful habit is practicing mental reset rituals between tasks. When you switch from one activity to another, say, from studying to relaxing or from writing to cooking, take 60 seconds to reset. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Stretch your body. Speak a simple phrase like, "I now release that task and prepare for the next." This may sound small, but it's huge. Without resets, your brain carries tension and residue from the last task into the next one. With resets, each task begins with fresh energy and clear intention. Lastly, adopt a mindset of mental simplicity. Not everything needs your opinion. Not every situation needs your reaction. Not every thought needs to be pursued. Learn to observe without engaging. Let thoughts come and go like clouds across the sky. The more you watch without reacting, the more mental space you reclaim. Smart people don't think more, they think better. And better thinking comes from a calm, uncluttered mind. In a world that screams for your attention, mental minimalism is a radical act of power. By removing the excess distractions, worries, noise, opinions, digital junk, you create space for depth, creativity, and mastery. You stop reacting to everything and start responding with clarity. You stop consuming aimlessly and start learning with intention. You stop chasing stimulation and start cultivating wisdom. The person with the clearest mind usually makes the smartest move. So simplify ruthlessly, protect your attention, and watch how your intelligence begins to multiply in silence. Chapter 7. Apply your intelligence, turning knowledge into impact. Information is everywhere. It's on your phone, your laptop, your bookshelf. You can learn anything today: languages, code, neuroscience, philosophy, without stepping into a classroom. But here's the truth. Having knowledge is not the same as being smart. Intelligence isn't just about knowing things. It's about applying what you know in the real world to create results, solve problems, make decisions, and impact others. A dangerously smart mind isn't one that stores ideas, it's one that uses them. This chapter is about that final leap. You've trained your focus, structured your learning, optimized your brain chemistry, and rewired your neural pathways. Now, you must translate intelligence into action, because the mind that only collects is a library. The mind that creates is a force. Let's begin with the first and most powerful principle. Build something. It doesn't have to be grand, but it must be real. If you've spent weeks learning a new skill, say graphic design, data analysis, or public speaking, then the next step is not more studying, it's doing. Make a website, analyze a dataset, speak at a local event, or record yourself giving a short talk. When you apply your learning to the real world, your brain shifts from theoretical to practical mode. You stop asking, "Do I understand this?" and start asking, "How do I make this work?" That question forces your mind to retrieve, combine, and adapt knowledge in real time. It's the ultimate intelligence test and also the best way to grow. Don't wait to feel ready. You never will. The smartest people in the world aren't the ones who always knew the answer. They're the ones who figured it out while doing the work. They failed fast, learned deeply, and kept moving. Start messy. Let your first project be imperfect. Let your first video be awkward. Let your first design be clunky, but make something. Creation brings clarity. You'll see where your understanding is strong and where it's shallow. That feedback loop accelerates mastery. Next, focus on solving real problems. Intelligence becomes powerful when it meets reality. Ask yourself, what can I fix? What annoys me every day? What problem are people around me struggling with? The answers are everywhere. Maybe your friend keeps forgetting deadlines. Build a simple task tracker for them. Maybe your neighborhood has bad traffic. Research urban planning ideas and pitch a solution. Maybe you know someone drowning in anxiety. Share what you've learned about breathwork or mindfulness. The point is, knowledge becomes valuable when it serves someone else. When your mind moves from me to we, your intelligence finds purpose. You don't need a huge platform or funding. Some of the world's greatest innovations started with one person solving one problem for one other person. Intelligence, when directed with empathy, becomes wisdom. And wisdom always finds a way to help. Another powerful practice is teaching. When you teach something, you don't just reinforce your knowledge, you elevate it. Why? Because to explain a concept clearly, you must understand it from multiple angles. You must simplify it, anticipate confusion, use analogies. That level of engagement forces your brain to organize knowledge into a coherent system. Start small. Share what you've learned in a blog post, a social media thread, or a YouTube video. Host a mini workshop with your peers. Mentor someone who's just starting. Even if only one person watches or listens, it counts. Teaching transforms passive understanding into active mastery. You go from learner to leader, and the more you teach, the deeper your understanding grows. Now let's talk about interdisciplinary intelligence, one of the most overlooked superpowers. The world is filled with people who are experts in one narrow domain, but the most dangerously smart minds. They connect ideas across fields. They ask, what can neuroscience teach us about productivity? How does ancient philosophy apply to modern technology? What do artists understand about systems thinking? This cross-pollination of ideas sparks innovation. It helps you see patterns others miss. It makes your thinking flexible, creative, and adaptable. So, expose yourself to different fields regularly. If you're technical, read poetry. If you're into art, explore psychology. If you're in business, study biology. You don't have to master every field, but dipping into others gives you mental tools most people lack. And those tools are exactly what help you solve problems no one else can. To truly apply your intelligence, you must also learn the art of decision-making. Smart people aren't just knowledgeable, they're decisive. They act with clarity even in uncertainty. To build this skill, start small. Set daily micro-decisions for yourself. What's the one thing I must accomplish today? What's the best way to solve this task? What should I ignore to protect my focus? As you get used to making choices quickly and intentionally, your confidence grows. Then scale up. Analyze trade-offs, weigh pros and cons. Use mental models like first principles thinking, second-order consequences, and probabilistic thinking to guide your logic. But remember, not every decision requires perfect information. Dangerous intelligence includes knowing when to act with what you have. Overthinking leads to paralysis. Trust your training, trust your mind. Make a choice, observe the outcome, and refine. Here's another hidden secret. Smart people fail often, but they fail intelligently. They see mistakes not as shameful, but as data. Every failure teaches. Every misstep reveals a blind spot. The difference between someone who becomes elite and someone who stays average isn't luck or talent, it's feedback. Are you willing to be humbled, to be wrong, to try again? The mind that embraces failure becomes unstoppable. Because nothing can defeat it, it just keeps evolving. Track your growth. Keep a wins and lessons journal. Each week, write down, what did I apply this week? What worked? What failed? What did I learn from it? This single habit trains your brain to value progress over perfection. It rewires your identity from someone who studies to someone who applies, improves, and grows. As you build this application mindset, you'll notice something remarkable. Your intelligence becomes visible. People will start asking you questions. Opportunities will find you. Your confidence will grow not because you know everything, but because you've proven to yourself that you can learn anything, adapt, and solve problems in real time. That's real intelligence. That's dangerous intelligence. But don't stop there. Share your thinking publicly. Write, speak, build, post. Not to show off, but to challenge yourself. When you go public with your ideas, you're forced to think clearly, organize your logic, and be accountable for your words. You'll attract feedback. You'll attract people smarter than you. That friction, that exposure, it sharpens you. Your ideas evolve, your thinking deepens, and your network expands. Remember, the world doesn't need more silent geniuses. It needs minds in motion. People who use what they know to lead, serve, and innovate. So take what you've learned and apply it. Build something useful, solve something difficult, teach someone else. Connect ideas across disciplines. Make smart decisions. Embrace your failures. Share your voice. Keep evolving. Because the final stage of becoming dangerously smart isn't hiding your intelligence, it's harnessing it. And once you do, you're no longer just a thinker. You become a force. Chapter 8. Upgrade your inner dialogue. Reprogram the voice inside your head. You can train your focus. You can learn faster. You can optimize your chemistry and build powerful habits. But none of it will last. None of it will unlock your full potential if the voice in your head is working against you. Your inner dialogue is the hidden operating system of your brain. It shapes your beliefs, your behavior, your emotions, your decisions, everything. If you want to become dangerously smart, you must upgrade that voice. You must turn it from a critic into a coach, from a doubter into a driver, from an anchor into a launch pad. Let's be honest, most people don't even realize how toxic their inner voice is. It sounds like, "You're not smart enough. You always mess this up. Why even try? You'll fail anyway. They're better than you." These aren't just harmless thoughts. They are commands your brain listens to. Over time, they become beliefs. Beliefs become actions, and actions become your life. The first step in reprogramming this voice is awareness. You must start noticing the tone, content, and patterns of your self-talk. Set a timer 3 times a day and ask yourself, what have I been saying to myself in the last hour? Write it down. You'll be shocked at how automatic and negative much of it is, but don't judge it. Just observe it. You can't change what you don't understand. Once you've identified your common thought loops, the next step is to challenge them. Every time you hear that voice say, "You're not smart enough," respond with evidence. Say, "That's not true. I've learned difficult things before. I've improved. I've figured things out." When your brain says, "You're going to fail," ask, "What would happen if I succeed? What's another way to look at this?" You're not arguing with yourself to be delusional, you're arguing for your potential, and that matters. But upgrading your inner dialogue isn't just about fighting negativity, it's about installing a new voice, one that builds you, pushes you, sharpens you. Think of it as a custom-designed mental mentor that speaks to you with power, clarity, and purpose. Here's how to start. Use identity-based affirmations. Don't just say, "I will be smart." Say, "I am someone who learns rapidly. I am the kind of person who seeks understanding. I am a focused, disciplined thinker." Why does this matter? Because the brain is more likely to act in alignment with who you believe you are than what you say you want. When your inner voice reflects the identity of someone growing, evolving, and mastering, your actions follow. Speak in present tense. Avoid saying, "Someday I'll get this," or "Eventually I'll figure it out." That keeps progress in the distance. Say instead, "I'm getting it now. I'm understanding more each day. I'm already becoming sharper." This shifts your focus from future fantasy to current action. It makes progress feel real and reachable. Create personal mental scripts. Before high-pressure moments, tests, presentations, decisions, speak a mental script like a coach in your head. I've prepared, I've trained, I trust my mind. Pressure sharpens me, I focus under fire. I don't need to know everything. I need to think clearly, and I will. Write these down, repeat them often. When your brain is flooded with emotion, it won't reach for logic, it will reach for whatever pattern is most practiced. Make sure that pattern is one that supports you. Stop labeling yourself permanently. Intelligence is not fixed, neither is talent. Stop saying, "I'm just not a math person," or "I'm not creative." Those are prisons made of words. Instead, say, "I'm learning to enjoy math more. I'm experimenting with creativity." Every label you put on yourself either expands your capacity or shrinks it. Choose labels that grow with you. Talk to yourself with precision. Vague inner talk like, "This is hard," or "I can't do this," is useless. Instead, be precise. "I'm struggling to connect these two concepts. I need a better way to memorize this formula. This feels unfamiliar, but it will get easier." Precision activates your prefrontal cortex, the problem-solving center of your brain. It turns emotion into strategy. Speak aloud when necessary. This may sound strange, but saying empowering phrases out loud can interrupt negative thought loops more powerfully than silent repetition. When you feel overwhelmed, say aloud, "I've got this." Breathe. Focus. This moment is mine. The sound of your own voice anchors your nervous system and reinforces confidence. Practice the language of ownership. Stop saying, "It's too hard." Start saying, "I haven't figured it out yet." Replace "I have to study" with "I choose to study because I want to grow." Swap "I can't remember anything" with "I'm working on improving my recall." This subtle shift from victim to owner gives you back control. You stop seeing your brain as an obstacle and start treating it like an ally. Install the growth filter. Every time something doesn't go your way, pause and ask, "How is this growing me?" Missed a question? Good, it shows where you need to focus. Failed a project? Great, now you have data. Got rejected? Perfect, more resilience. When your inner voice frames failure as feedback, your brain stops fearing mistakes and starts learning from them faster. Eliminate comparison-based language. Comparison poisons self-talk. The moment you start thinking, "They're better than me," you shift from growth to insecurity. Instead, say, "Their success shows me what's possible. If they can do it, so can I, in my own way. I'm not here to compete. I'm here to evolve." This keeps your mind focused on self-mastery, not social approval. End. Every day with mental reprogramming. Before bed, close your eyes and repeat a few core affirmations. I'm becoming more focused, disciplined, and intelligent every day. My mind is my greatest tool, and I'm sharpening it daily. I am proud of how far I've come, and excited for what's next. Doing this right before sleep plants those messages into your subconscious when your brain is most impressionable. You literally fall asleep with your programming being updated. Upgrading your inner dialogue won't happen in a day, but it starts with a decision to stop allowing a broken voice to lead your brilliant mind. A decision to replace self-doubt with self-direction. A decision to speak to yourself as someone who deserves greatness. Because here's the truth. Your brain listens to every word you say. Every thought you repeat is a signal, and every signal either builds your confidence or breaks it. You wouldn't let someone talk to your best friend the way you sometimes talk to yourself. So why let that voice run unchecked? From this point forward, be deliberate. Make your inner voice your mental command center. Let it speak like a coach. Let it sharpen like a sword. Let it guide like a compass. Let it sound like someone who believes in you, because that someone is you. The smarter you become, the more important this voice becomes. It becomes the voice that speaks in chaos, the voice that stands tall when you doubt, the voice that says, "I will figure it out," when no one else sees how. That's the voice of someone dangerously intelligent. So build it, strengthen it, and let it carry you into your next evolution. Chapter 9. Design a life that makes you smarter. Create an environment that thinks with you. You can train your brain every day, fill your mind with powerful knowledge, and even master your inner voice. But if your external world is chaotic, distracting, and misaligned with your goals, your progress will always feel like swimming upstream. To become dangerously smart, you must do more than just train your mind. You must design a life that supports your intelligence. A life where your environment, routines, relationships, and physical surroundings are built to help your brain thrive. Think of your life as a kind of mental architecture. Every choice you make where you live, how you spend your mornings, who you talk to, what you look at when you wake up sends a message to your brain. That message can either say, "Be alert," "Be focused," "Learn something," or it can say, "React," "Scroll," "Waste time." If you're serious about leveling up your intelligence, you must create an ecosystem where smart thinking becomes your default mode. Let's start with your physical environment. What does your space look like right now? Is your desk buried under clutter? Are there distractions everywhere? Open tabs, blinking screens, dirty dishes, random reminders. Your brain absorbs the energy of your surroundings. When your space is scattered, your thinking becomes fragmented. When your space is clear, your thoughts begin to flow. Redesign your workspace for cognitive clarity. Keep only what you need in front of you. A notebook, a book, a pen. Maybe a small object that symbolizes focus for you, like a candle, a plant, or a quote. Remove visual noise. Even something as small as unplugging unused electronics or removing old sticky notes can create a sense of mental calm. Lighting matters too. Use warm, soft light when reading or reflecting. Use bright, natural light when you need high alertness. And the less your phone is within arm's reach, the more your mind will return to what actually matters. Next, Engineer your routine environments. Your mornings, for example, set the mental tone for your day. If the first thing you see is news, emails, and social media, your brain is pulled into chaos. But if you start your day with silence, reading, reflection, or even a few stretches, you send a clear signal. Today is mine. Create a morning routine that prioritizes input that sharpens you. Maybe it's 10 pages of a brilliant book, 5 minutes of deep breathing, or a written intention for the day. Then guard your first 60-90 minutes as deep mind time. No meetings, no messages, no distractions. This becomes your mental sanctuary. Your evenings matter just as much. They determine whether you rest with peace or carry tension into the next day. Build an off-ramp ritual that shuts your brain down gently. Dim your lights. Reflect on what you learned. Journal your wins. Review any notes or ideas you picked up that day. Then prepare for tomorrow, not with worry, but with structure. Lay out your tools. Clean your space. Sleep in a room with no screens, and watch how your mental clarity returns faster each morning. Beyond your home, look at your social environment. Intelligence thrives in community, but only the right kind. Who do you talk to every day? Are they people who challenge your ideas, who speak about meaningful things, who push you to think deeper? Or are they people who gossip, complain, distract, or belittle growth? You don't need to cut everyone off, but you must prioritize high-quality conversations. Start by seeking out those who are curious, who love to learn, who ask better questions, who don't pretend to know everything. Talk with them regularly. Share insights, debate ideas, learn together. This kind of connection doesn't just make you smarter, it makes you more alive. If you don't have people like that around you, create that community. Join a book club. Start a mastermind group. Find a learning partner online. Even one thoughtful conversation per week can upgrade your brain faster than 100 articles. Intelligence isn't just what you consume, it's what you exchange. Now, let's go deeper. Start building mental cues into your physical world, tiny reminders that guide your brain into higher thinking. Place a sticky note on your mirror with a powerful question like, "What did I learn yesterday?" or "Am I thinking clearly or just reacting emotionally?" Put a note card on your laptop that says, "Create before you consume." Set your phone's wallpaper to a quote like, "Don't trade your future for your impulses." These visual cues, repeated daily, shape your default thinking patterns. You won't even notice it, but your brain will. Even your digital environment needs intentional design. Unsubscribe from newsletters that don't teach you anything. Unfollow accounts that drain your energy. Rearrange your phone's home screen, hide social apps, highlight your learning apps. Create folders with intentional names like Sharpen or Build. Make YouTube recommend videos that make you smarter, not more distracted. If you spend 3 hours online every day, imagine if even 30 minutes of that was spent with ideas that challenge your brain. That's 180 hours a year of transformation. Now, apply environmental design to your habits. Where do your routines happen? If you want to read more, make your book visible on your desk or nightstand. If you want to write, open your journal or doc before you go to bed, so it's ready when you wake. If you want to meditate, keep your cushion or chair in plain sight. The less friction there is between intention and action, the more likely you are to follow through. Don't rely on motivation, rely on design. Also, create zones of use in your home or space. One chair only for reading, one desk only for creating, one corner only for deep thinking. Your brain starts to associate those spaces with those mental states. It's like building a mental map inside your environment. When you sit there, your brain knows. It's time to think, to focus, to build. These anchors reinforce habit through spatial memory. Another secret weapon? Environmental novelty. While routine builds discipline, occasional changes build flexibility. Work in a new cafe once a week. Take a thinking walk in a new neighborhood. Rearrange your desk every few months. These shifts stimulate dopamine and force your brain to stay alert. They disrupt autopilot mode and keep your thinking fresh. The combination of structure and occasional novelty creates the perfect conditions for mental expansion. Finally, ask yourself, does my lifestyle support deep thinking or destroy it? If your life is so noisy, so reactive, so crowded with other people's priorities that your thoughts never get time to breathe, then it's time to redesign it. That doesn't mean moving to the mountains. It means carving small pockets of mental space in your existing world. It means making one room, 1 hour, one corner of your day sacred, a place where you listen to your mind, a place where you grow. Because here's the truth, your environment is not neutral. It is either feeding your intelligence or feeding your distractions. It is either sharpening you or dulling you. It is either reminding you who you are becoming or keeping you stuck in who you've been. So design wisely. Build a life where your books are within reach, where your goals are visible, where your tools are ready, where your people make you better, where your time is protected, where your space is quiet enough to hear your own ideas. That kind of life doesn't just help you think better, it makes smart thinking inevitable. You don't have to force yourself to be focused or disciplined anymore. Your world starts doing that with you. And that's when you become unstoppable, because you've created more than a smarter mind. You've created a smarter life. Chapter 10. Evolve relentlessly. Make intelligence a lifelong identity. Reaching the level of dangerously smart is not a destination, it's a way of life. True intelligence isn't something you earn once and display like a trophy. It's a discipline, a mindset, a personal philosophy that says, I don't just want to be smart, I want to keep getting smarter every single day. This final chapter is about locking in that mindset. It's about evolving relentlessly and making growth your permanent identity, because the moment you stop learning is the moment your intelligence starts dying. Let's begin with a fundamental shift. Stop thinking of intelligence as a skill and start seeing it as a lifestyle. Just like elite athletes train their bodies daily, elite thinkers train their minds daily. They don't wait for school or deadlines or permission. They study because they love it. They learn because it fuels them. They are obsessed with improvement. Not because they're insecure, but because they know the world is always moving, and they refuse to be left behind. To make intelligence part of your identity, you must create a non-negotiable relationship with learning. This means building a system in your daily life that ensures you never go a day without feeding your brain. It could be 10 pages of a brilliant book before breakfast, a 30-minute podcast during your commute, a written reflection before bed. The content doesn't matter as much as the consistency. Why? Because the brain responds to patterns. When you feed it new ideas every day, you build a habit of curiosity, and curiosity is the foundation of unstoppable intelligence. But don't just consume, synthesize. That means connect what you're learning across subjects. Ask questions like, how does this idea relate to something I learned last week? How could I use this insight in a real situation? What does this contradict and why? Synthesis is how information becomes wisdom. When you train your brain not just to absorb, but to integrate, you become the kind of thinker who builds new knowledge and not just recites old ideas. You'll begin to form your own frameworks, develop original insights, and spot patterns others miss. That's the difference between a smart student and a dangerous thinker. To evolve relentlessly, you must also develop a feedback obsession. Smart people seek feedback. Dangerous ones hunt it. They don't just wait to be evaluated, they ask, they measure, they test. They want to know where their thinking is weak, where their understanding is fuzzy, where their blind spots are hiding. Why? Because they know growth lives in discomfort. They'd rather be humbled today than ignorant tomorrow. So ask for feedback constantly from mentors, from peers, even from your own work. Review your ideas and ask, where am I missing the mark? This hunger for correction is what separates those who learn fast from those who stay stuck. Another core principle: upgrade your questions. Weak minds seek answers. Strong minds seek better questions. The quality of your thinking is determined by the quality of questions you ask. Instead of asking, how do I learn faster? Ask, what invisible assumptions are slowing down my learning? Instead of asking, how can I become successful? Ask, what kind of success matters most to me and why? Train yourself to pause and go deeper. When something confuses you, don't just move on, stop and wrestle with it. Ask why 5 times in a row. Dig until you uncover the root. This is how mental sharpness is forged, not in memorizing facts, but in chasing the truth with ruthless honesty. To keep evolving, you must also set challenges that stretch you. Every few months, pick a mental target that scares you a little. Read a 600-page book on a subject you know nothing about. Join a debate group, even if public speaking terrifies you. Try to solve a technical problem without using YouTube for help. These self-imposed challenges are where real transformation happens, because they push your limits and then force your limits to expand. If you never challenge your mind, you'll never know how powerful it really is. At the same time, develop the patience to play the long game. Smart today is good. Smarter in 5 years is better. Dangerous in 10 years is unstoppable. Most people want fast results. They want the top 10 hacks and easy shortcuts. But intelligence doesn't work that way. Real intelligence compounds. It multiplies over time if you stay consistent. If you feed your brain a little every day, if you reflect often, if you act on what you learn, it won't feel dramatic at first. But 6 months from now, your thinking will be sharper. A year from now, you'll speak differently. 3 years from now, you'll solve problems others don't even see. And 10 years from now, people will wonder how you became so naturally smart. They'll never see the hours, the discipline, the invisible commitment you made to mental evolution. To keep this momentum alive, design review rituals. Every week, take 30 minutes to reflect on what you learned, how you applied it, and what you need to improve. Ask yourself, what was the most powerful thing I learned this week? Where did I think poorly? What confused me, and why? What's one thing I want to explore deeper next week? These rituals turn growth into a habit. They help you track progress, catch bad patterns, and stay accountable to the future version of yourself you're building. And here's something few talk about. Protect your energy. Mental evolution is impossible if you're drained, distracted, and constantly pulled into meaningless obligations. Create space in your life. Protect your focus like your life depends on it, because your future does. Say no to what doesn't align. Say yes only to what builds. A sharp mind needs rest, quiet, and recovery. It needs depth, not just speed. Think of your brain like a bladerist, and sharpening are as important as use. Also, normalize reinvention. Don't be afraid to outgrow your old self. Let go of identities that no longer fit. Maybe you used to be the quiet one, the lazy one, or the one who always gives up. Those were past versions. Let them go. Declare a new mental identity. I am a builder. I am a thinker. I am evolving. You don't need permission to reinvent your mind. You just need courage. Reinvention is the true mark of dangerous intelligence because it means you're willing to unlearn, relearn, and outthink even your former self. Finally, build a legacy of learning. Share what you know, mentor others, write your ideas down, teach your younger siblings, your friends, your audience. Don't hoard your knowledge, multiply it. Because every time you teach, you grow. Every time you explain something clearly, your own understanding deepens. And every time you help someone else level up, you lock in your own evolution. This is what it means to be dangerously smart. It's not a moment. It's not a title. It's a lifelong vow, a daily decision. To read, to question, to apply, to stretch, to reflect, to think sharper, live deeper, and rise higher forever. So don't stop here. This isn't the end of your journey. It's the ignition switch. You've learned how to train your brain. Now train your life. Make intelligence your identity. Let learning be your religion. And never stop evolving. Because the smartest people in the room aren't the ones who know everything. They're the ones who never stop becoming more. And you're just getting started. Chapter 11. Build your mental fortress. Protect your mind from weakness, noise, and mediocrity. Becoming dangerously smart isn't just about what you let into your mind, it's also about what you keep out. In a world overflowing with noise, distraction, and shallow thinking, one of the most powerful things you can do is build a mental fortress, a stronghold of inner clarity, emotional stability, and unshakable focus. This fortress isn't made of walls, it's made of values, boundaries, and habits that defend your intelligence from being diluted, hijacked, or destroyed by the chaos around you. Think about this. Your brain is your most powerful tool. Every thought you allow, every belief you adopt, every conversation you engage in, it's either sharpening your mind or dulling it. Most people never stop to filter what enters their mind. They absorb gossip, fear, distractions, weak opinions, constant comparison until their mental world becomes foggy and confused. The truth is, you don't just need to upgrade your brain, you need to guard it. You must build a fortress so strong that nothing useless or destructive can break through. The first line of defense is mental filtering. You must become hyper-selective about what you consume. Ask yourself daily, is this making me stronger or weaker? Every video, podcast, book, or conversation you engage with is shaping your worldview. So choose content that elevates you. Listen to thinkers who challenge you, not echo chambers that flatter you. Read books that stretch your perspective, not posts that numb your brain. Watch content that teaches you how to build, not just how to react. Don't confuse entertainment with education. Too many people waste hours watching others live their lives while neglecting their own. That's not freedom, it's mental slavery. Design a media diet that supports your evolution. That might mean unsubscribing from toxic influencers, deleting apps that steal your time, or blocking sites that trigger mindless scrolling. It might mean creating no input zones during the day periods where you don't consume anything, but simply sit with your own thoughts. These empty spaces are where original ideas are born. The next layer of your mental fortress is emotional discipline. Weak minds are reactive, strong minds are responsive. That means not every insult, disagreement, or piece of bad news deserves a reaction. When you're easily offended, easily angered, or easily thrown off your path, you leave the gates of your mental fortress wide open. Emotional discipline doesn't mean becoming cold or robotic. It means mastering the gap between stimulus and response. It means learning to pause, breathe, and choose your reaction instead of being dragged by it. Practice this daily. When someone disrespects you, don't react impulsively. Ask, is this worth my energy? When you're overwhelmed with stress, don't spiral center yourself. Use your breath. Use your posture. Speak to yourself with calm authority. I control how I respond. Over time, this creates emotional armor. You become the type of person who can stay calm under pressure, think clearly under fire, and make smart decisions even in chaos. That's not just intelligence, that's power. Now let's talk about boundaries. One of the biggest threats to your mind isn't just bad content, it's other people's agendas. Every day, someone wants your time, your attention, your validation. If you say yes to everyone, you say no to your own growth. That's why dangerously smart people are ruthless with boundaries. They don't over-explain. They don't apologize for needing space. They don't feel guilty for protecting their focus. If someone doesn't respect your mental boundaries, that's not your problem, it's theirs. Create sacred space for deep work. Let people know when you're unavailable. Schedule thinking time like it's a meeting. Block off a few hours every week where you unplug completely. No notifications, no noise, no interruptions. Your brain needs silence to solve complex problems. Your thoughts need solitude to organize themselves. You don't owe constant access to anyone. The smarter you become, the more valuable your time becomes, and the more you must protect it like treasure. Another key component of your mental fortress is value alignment. That means living in harmony with the principles that define who you are. When your actions contradict your values, you create inner friction, stress, confusion, doubt. But when your life reflects your deepest convictions, you move with power and purpose. So ask yourself, what do I stand for? Do I value discipline? Then do my habits reflect that? Do I value truth? Then do I speak honestly, even when it's hard? Do I value growth? Then do I surround myself with people and systems that support it? Clarity of values creates clarity of mind. When you know what you stand for, distractions lose their pull. Popularity doesn't matter. Opinions don't shake you. You make decisions faster. You stop chasing approval. You stop comparing yourself to people with different paths. And that internal alignment creates a kind of quiet confidence that radiates without noise or validation. Next, fortify your mind with mental resilience rituals. These are practices that train your brain to bounce back stronger after failure, rejection, or uncertainty. Life will hit you. Even the smartest minds face loss, betrayal, burnout, confusion. What matters is how quickly you recover, how you rebuild, how you stay standing when everything tries to knock you down. Start small. At the end of every challenge, ask, what did this teach me? How did I grow? When something goes wrong, don't collapse into helplessness. Say, good, now I get to train my adaptability. When someone doubts you, don't argue. Say, perfect, I'll let my evolution prove everything. Create a recovery planner system you follow when you're mentally low. It could be a playlist, a book, a walk in nature, a conversation with your mentor, a journal session. These rituals aren't just habits, they're weapons. They remind you that you're built for growth, even in darkness. Let's not forget mental cleanliness. Just like you clean your room, your inbox, your phone, you must clean your thoughts. Every week, set aside time to clear mental residue. What beliefs no longer serve you? What thoughts are on loop that drain your energy? What stories about yourself are outdated? Write them down, rethink them, replace them. The mind accumulates clutter just like a drawer. If you never clear it out, you start thinking old thoughts in a new life. That creates conflict. Clean your mind regularly. Make space for better thoughts to grow. And finally, the roof of your mental fortress, the part that protects you from the storms of life, is inner peace. Intelligence without peace becomes arrogance. Sharp thinking without stillness becomes aggression. To think clearly, to make great decisions, to evolve continuously, You must cultivate peace within. That peace doesn't come from outside. It comes from knowing who you are, what you believe, and where you're going. It comes from trusting your process, from letting go of control, from embracing silence, even when it feels empty. You can build this peace through meditation, prayer, solitude, gratitude, journaling, or simply spending time in nature. Even 5 minutes a day can restore your clarity. When you cultivate inner peace, your thoughts settle. Your decisions become precise. Your energy becomes magnetic. You stop rushing. You stop proving. You start knowing. This is what it means to build a mental fortress. It's not just protection. It's transformation. It's a lifestyle that honors your mind as the most powerful thing you own. It's a system that keeps you focused in a world that wants you scattered. It's a commitment to clarity in a culture addicted to noise. So build it, brick by brick, belief by belief, boundary by boundary. Let it stand tall. Let it keep your thoughts strong, your emotions calm, and your energy clean. Because once your mental fortress is complete, no storm can break you. No insult can define you. No failure can destroy you. And no distraction can pull you off your path. You won't just be smart. You'll be untouchable. And that's when your real power begins. Chapter 12. Stay a student forever. The code of eternal growth. The smartest minds in history, the visionaries, the innovators, the game-changer all had one thing in common. They never stopped being students. Not students of a classroom, but students of life. They approached every situation, every person, every obstacle with a question, what can I learn from this? They knew something most people forget, that the moment you think you've learned enough is the moment you stop growing. The final secret to becoming dangerously smart is this: you must stay a student forever. That doesn't mean you're always starting from scratch. It means you're always open. Open to new ideas, open to being wrong, open to seeing from a different angle. Because intelligence without humility becomes limitation. The world changes fast. Industries evolve. Technologies disrupt. Paradigms shift. If your mind becomes rigid, if you lock into a single way of thinking, you will be left behind, no matter how much you once knew. Being a lifelong student isn't about chasing every trend or jumping on every new idea. It's about staying adaptive. It's about building a mind that is flexible enough to unlearn what no longer serves you, curious enough to explore new frontiers, and grounded enough to keep learning without ego. This is the mindset of mastery, and it begins with killing one of the most dangerous beliefs a person can have. I already know that. That phrase is a trap. It shuts the door to new insight. It tricks you into thinking repetition is useless. But repetition is how knowledge sinks deeper. Just because you've heard an idea doesn't mean you've lived it. Wisdom isn't in knowing, it's in applying, refining, and embodying. So when you hear something you've heard before, don't dismiss it. Ask, am I really living this truth? Have I mastered this? Can I teach this with clarity? If the answer is no, then you're still a student, and that's a beautiful thing. Next, cultivate intellectual humility. This means being willing to say, I don't know, without shame. It means being excited to be corrected, to be challenged, to be stretched. It means you see every conversation as an opportunity to learn, not to impress. Most people listen to respond. Lifelong students listen to understand. They ask better questions. They don't cling to being right, they cling to growing wiser. If someone challenges your idea, don't defend your ego, defend your curiosity. Ask them, why do you think that? What have you seen that I haven't? What am I missing here? Every disagreement becomes a classroom. Every mistake becomes a curriculum. This mindset frees you from the prison of perfectionism. You stop needing to know it all and start focusing on learning it all. One powerful practice for eternal growth is what I call the beginner's reset. Every few months, pick something you're terrible at and learn it. Maybe it's playing an instrument. Maybe it's speaking a new language. Maybe it's public speaking, drawing, or coding. Start at zero. Embrace the discomfort. Be the worst in the room. This process keeps your brain humble, sharp, and elastic. It reminds you what it feels like to learn from scratch. It reconnects you with the grind, the patience, and the raw curiosity that fuels intelligence. The beginner's reset does something else. It destroys arrogance. When you remember what it's like to not understand something, to fumble, to fail, to feel unsure, you become more empathetic, more patient, and more open-minded. That humility will show in how you lead, how you teach, and how you grow. Another way to stay a student forever is by building a personal knowledge system. This is a lifelong habit of capturing what you learn, organizing it, and revisiting it. Use a digital tool, a notebook, or a simple folder system. Every time you learn a powerful idea, write it down. Every time you have an insight, record it. When you read a book, summarize the key points. When you make a mistake, capture the lesson. Over time, this becomes your personal mental library, map of your evolution. Review it regularly. Set aside time each week to revisit what you've learned. Ask, what patterns am I seeing? What gaps are showing up? What ideas keep resurfacing? This habit reinforces memory, deepens understanding, and helps you connect dots across different areas of your life. You stop being a passive learner and become an architect of your own intelligence. Lifelong students also understand the importance of teaching others. Sharing what you know doesn't just help others, it cements the knowledge in your own mind. When you explain a concept, you expose every gap in your logic. You realize what you truly understand and what you've just memorized. Teaching forces you to simplify, clarify, and structure your thinking. It sharpens you like nothing else. So teach daily. Share insights with friends. Write what you're learning. Record videos. Start a blog. Mentor someone younger. You don't need to be an expert, just one step ahead. And the more you teach, the faster you grow. But growth isn't just mental, it's personal. A true student doesn't just study facts, they study themselves. They reflect deeply. They notice patterns in their reactions, their emotions, their habits. They ask tough questions. Why do I avoid discomfort? Where am I holding myself back? What story am I still telling myself from the past? What fear is stopping me from evolving? This kind of self-study is rare. Most people look outward. The smart ones look inward. Because until you understand yourself, your intelligence will always be limited by hidden fears and old identities. So journal, meditate, sit in silence, watch how your mind works, know what triggers you, what fuels you, what limits you, and use that awareness to transform. Staying a student forever also means embracing the long view. The goal isn't just to become smart this month or successful this year. The goal is to become limitless over a lifetime. That means you must detach from quick rewards. Learning is not always glamorous. Growth is often invisible. You won't always feel progress. But stay the course. Keep reading, keep practicing, keep reflecting. One day you'll look back and realize, I'm not even close to who I used to be. And here's the real magic. When you become a true student, you stop fearing the future. Because you know, whatever happens, you'll learn. Whatever challenge comes, you'll adapt. Whatever skill you need, you'll acquire it. That confidence doesn't come from what you know. It comes from knowing that you can keep learning anything. This is your edge. Not your grades. Not your IQ. Not your resume. Your real advantage is your mindset. A mindset that says, I'm not done. I haven't peaked. I'll never outgrow the process. Because the process is the point, and learning is forever. So stay a student. Not for school, not for status, but for your soul. Make curiosity your compass. Make growth your daily ritual. Make wisdom your lifelong companion. And when others plateau, you will rise. When others stop, you'll evolve. When others say, I've arrived, you'll say, I've just begun. Because you are not just smart. You are becoming. Always. Relentlessly. Forever. Chapter 13. Think for yourself. Break free from mental herding and build independent intelligence. One of the most dangerous threats to your intelligence is not ignorance, it's conformity. In a world overflowing with opinions, algorithms, media noise, and groupthink, the ability to think for yourself has become a rare superpower. If you want to be dangerously smart, you must break free from mental herding. You must stop outsourcing your beliefs, your identity, and your decisions to the crowd. Because the crowd is not always right. In fact, most of the time it's simply loud. True intelligence means independent thinking. It means developing the courage to ask, what do I believe? Not just, what do they think? It means questioning your assumptions, resisting the pressure to agree, and being willing to stand alone when the truth demands it. It's not about being rebellious for the sake of rebellion. It's about being aligned with reality, even if that alignment costs you comfort or approval. Mental herding happens when you absorb the ideas of others without examination. It's subtle. You hear a strong opinion repeated 1,000 times online, and before you realize it, you begin to nod. You adopt the language, you mimic the tone, you echo the belief. But pause and ask, did I think this through? Did I test this idea? Did I arrive here honestly? Was I simply pulled along? Independent intelligence starts with awareness. Begin noticing where your ideas come from. Who shaped them? Where did you learn that belief? Is it based on your direct experience or just social conditioning? Ask yourself regularly, is this my thought or is this someone else's? That single question can begin to dissolve the layers of inherited thinking that quietly shape your mind. One powerful habit is intentional questioning. Whenever you encounter a common truth or a popular opinion, stop and dissect it. Don't just accept that money is evil, you need college to succeed, failure is bad, or success looks like fame. Instead ask, who benefits if I believe this? What is the opposite of this idea? What are the exceptions to this rule? What evidence supports or contradicts this? What does this idea leave out? When you start interrogating ideas, you stop being a passive receiver and become an active thinker. This doesn't mean you reject everything. It means you arrive at your beliefs instead of inheriting them. To think for yourself, you must also embrace intellectual solitude. This is different from isolation. Solitude is chosen. It's a sacred space where your mind can breathe without the constant influence of others. Most people never give their brain that space. They're surrounded by noise from the moment they wake, up-scrolling feeds, reading headlines, watching comment sections argue. Their opinions are shaped before they've even formed a thought of their own. Create time in your day for solo thinking. No phone, no input. Just you, a notebook, and your mind. Ask questions. Reflect on what you're learning. Explore your own ideas. Sketch out arguments for and against what you believe. This practice trains your brain to generate thought, not just react to it. It builds mental independence, the way physical training builds muscle slowly, deliberately, and with discipline. Another powerful strategy is devil's advocacy. Take a belief you hold strongly and argue against it. Try to defeat your own logic. This sharpens your reasoning and helps you identify blind spots. It also builds cognitive flexibility, the ability to understand multiple perspectives without being trapped in any one of them. Flexibility is a sign of real intelligence. Rigid minds break. Flexible ones adapt and thrive. Independent thinkers also limit their exposure to mental echo chambers. When you only listen to people who agree with you, your thinking stagnates. You stop growing. So deliberately expose yourself to smart people with different views. Read authors you disagree with. Watch debates that challenge your worldview, not to convert but to expand. When you engage with complexity, your mind gets stronger. You learn to hold tension, navigate paradox, and think beyond binaries. That's where mature intelligence lives, not in certainty, but in clarity within complexity. It's also critical to protect your core principles. Independent thinking doesn't mean having no foundation. It means building that foundation for yourself. Take time to define your values. What do you stand for? What kind of life do you want to live? What type of legacy do you want to leave behind? These core convictions become your compass when the world pulls you in every direction. When everyone else is chasing trends, your values will keep you anchored. When opinions shift with the wind, your clarity will remain. But this path comes with a cost. Independent thinkers are often misunderstood. Questioning norms can make you unpopular. Refusing to conform might isolate you. But if you truly want to become dangerously smart, you must be willing to be uncomfortable. You must be willing to be the only one in the room who sees things differently and still hold your ground. That's why courage is essential. Thinking for yourself is not just a mental skill, it's a spiritual stance. It requires you to trust your observations, to admit when you're wrong, to revise your beliefs when new evidence emerges, to say, "I don't know," when the truth is unclear, and to stand by what you've discovered even when it's inconvenient. To strengthen this courage, practice small acts of defiance against mental laziness. Don't click on the sensational headline. Don't share the popular quote until you've researched the source. Don't jump on the latest outrage without understanding the full context. These small refusals build your inner authority. They remind you, my mind is mine. One of the greatest benefits of independent thinking is freedom. When you break free from the crowd's influence, you reclaim your time, your focus, your purpose. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing disapproval. You stop bending your values to fit in, and you start living with integrity, intelligence, and alignment. You become someone who forms ideas deeply, asks uncommon questions, creates instead of copies, leads instead of follows, evolves independently. This is the mind of a strategist, a builder, a visionary, someone who doesn't just repeat the world, but redefines it. So think for yourself, even if it makes you different, even if it makes you alone, because the world doesn't need more echoes. It needs voices. It needs minds bold enough to challenge, wise enough to listen, and sharp enough to carve new paths. Independent thinking is not a gift, it's a choice. A daily decision to rise above the noise, to filter, to question, to reflect, to refine. And when you do, your mind becomes something rare. Not just intelligent, but original. And that is truly dangerous. You've reached the end of this journey, but in truth, this is only the beginning. You now understand what it takes to become dangerously smart. It's not about memorizing facts or winning arguments. It's about building a mind that is focused, resilient, independent, and relentlessly evolving. It's about mastering your habits, training your thoughts, shaping your environment, and protecting your mental energy like it's sacred. It's about thinking deeply in a shallow world, acting with clarity in a chaotic one, and refusing to settle for mediocrity when you were built for mastery. The world is full of noise. Opinions fly faster than truth. Distractions scream louder than purpose. But the dangerously smart rise above it all. They aren't loud, they're clear. They don't chase trends, they build legacies. They don't react, they think. They reflect. They create. They lead. This isn't a one-time transformation. It's a daily vow. A commitment to wake up each morning and choose growth over comfort, wisdom over noise, purpose over popularity, discipline over distraction. You'll fall. You'll get lazy. You'll forget. That's normal. But every time you return to this path, you strengthen your mind. Every time you challenge your assumptions, you sharpen your clarity. Every time you protect your thoughts, you reinforce your fortress. Becoming dangerously smart isn't about being better than others, it's about being better than who you were yesterday. It's about outgrowing your old self, rewriting your limits, and living with such focus and intention that mediocrity can't survive in your presence. So keep learning, keep reflecting, keep applying, keep evolving. Because intelligence is not the final weapon. Wisdom is. And now you hold both. Let the world underestimate you. Let them doubt you. Let them call you quiet, intense, obsessed. Because one day they'll ask how you became who you are. And your answer will be simple. I built my mind, and I never stopped. This is your path now. Own it. Live it. And become the mind that the world cannot ignore.